We're now joined live by Hape Peshane, an advocate for the South African Litigation Center, working with countries in the region on LGBT and women's rights issues. Hello, Hape. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure. And point of correction, I work for Gender Dynamics, and South African Litigation Center are some of the legal partners that we usually get advice from in terms of the legal expertise.
So what does this landmark court ruling mean for Botswana's LGBT community and, by extension, gay rights in the African continent?
Wow, it means so much, because once you start off with decriminalizing, because a lot of the challenges that the LGBTI community faces, the issue of accessibility to basic services, which include health, access to education. The state of the economic and social status is worse than any other heterosexual community. So a change in this now also opens doors to challenge even other laws where they've been left out. Most, for instance, you find that the health laws have left the trans out, have left the LGBTI group out. And at the end of the day, now when we have this, the expectation is that there's more freedom, there's more right to liberty that is being respected. There's highly much highlighted in the court, should they say that the moment there's interference with what one does in the private spaces, the right to privacy has been violated. And once this has been moved, now it opens new possibilities, possibility of same-sex marriage, possibility of better health services, possibility of accessing education equally. It means so much, not just for Botswana, but also for the Southern African region. And perhaps also even it says something in terms of East Africa and West Africa, those who are intended to start the decriminalization process, like in Swaziland, I'm well aware that Swaziland is in the same footstep of starting to challenge the old decriminalization law. And what Botswana has done has set precedents to say, judges, this is what we need to look into.
So would this ruling have a tangible impact on LGBTQ individuals' daily lives? So, for example, would it help with access to health and legal services?
The expectation that it's supposed to for the normative society, I say normative in quotes, to accept the new results or to accept the ruling. Perhaps it also would probably mean that even those defending might want to appeal or challenge the decision by the High Court. But based on the arguments or the reasoning that the High Court gave today, even at the appeal court, I don't see the defendants coming victorious. And as for individuals, it means now there's more openness towards advocacy. There's more that can be challenged to say that if this is a privilege, it's not a privilege, if this is my right, at the end of the day, like each and every citizen, I have equal rights to access this. I have equal rights to access workspace without being discriminated. I have equal rights to access to choose who's my life partner. And when that is being violated, now even means individuals also have a stand of arguing and pursuing cases to say that I'm being violated here.
So the movement, what's next? What can we expect? Can we see more campaigning towards further dismantling of colonial era laws, perhaps towards gay marriage?
Well, it's pretty much interesting you're bringing that point, because it did come up with at the Lehabibu premises where they had that press release today. And one of the key questions were, what's the way forward? And some of the things were coming up where from the community was, are we now challenging the same-sex marriage? And of course it's a possibility, but we have to be careful in terms of how we approach it. This is relatively new. This is what we need to use the case of Botswana to challenge a few things. Start off where we are always starting off as activists. We start first by campaigning, making the society understand what it means to have same-sex marriage before we can even go ahead and challenge it. So there's a lot of work that will have to be put in place before thinking of other new court cases, which we would want recognition in different laws, because of course it's going to take a lot of work. Some might not even necessarily require us to even challenge them in terms of within the laws of the judicial system, but if with the existing evidence that is there, which I think played a huge role with the Botswana case, where evidence was produced by Lehabibu with the research study they were part of, which was done both in East Africa and Southern Africa. That itself is also going to make our government, our states, to review policies to say that this is coming out, this is where we are, so how do we go forward?
Thank you, Hape, for your insight into that landmark decision in Botswana.